Okay, so we're still working on acceptability. Now we're moving on to slightly more complex arguments. The next two would be sort of medium length arguments. And then example number 10 is a very long argument. So first thing I'm going to do is make a little bit of space for myself by moving the original argument up here so I can have a nice big text box right here to evaluate these premises. That should be plenty of room. Okay, once again, let's start down at the bottom and let's evaluate these claims. 11. Hardbacks have low quality bindings. I'm going to say that's acceptable. I have, let's see, how about this? I purchase many hardbacks and frequently their bindings break or crack soon after I purchase them. In contrast, older hardbacks seem to be much more resilient. Okay, so I'm accepting this claim based on my own personal experience. Great. 10. Hardbacks are made on paper of low quality. I'm going to again say that's acceptable. I have noticed that the hardbacks that I have purchased in the last decade tend to that the pages of the hardbacks tend to rip and tear more easily and become yellow more quickly than the pages of hardbacks that I bought 20 years ago. And 9, hardbacks are disposable. I'm going to say unacceptable. I don't have any experience that shows me that people expect to throw away hardbacks. In fact, I don't see people throwing away books. In fact, there's so many different ways in which books can be recycled or donated these days that it seems to be the cultural assumption that one wouldn't throw away books. So, how do I phrase that? Unacceptable. Hardback books are not considered to be disposable. In fact, there seem to be even more opportunities than previously to recycle or donate books that one no longer wants. The cultural assumption seems to be that it is inappropriate to throw away a book. Great, so I've done those 3. Let me come up here. I'm going to go to 6. A civilization that reads electronically need not be any less literate than one that uses physical books. Now, this is a very interesting claim. I have to think about this. This claim says that just because we read on a screen doesn't mean we need to be any less literate. Literate, I'm assuming here, means to be that it's someone who's fluent in language, who can use and read complex language in different forms for different purposes. And thinking about that, I think that sounds right. The medium through which a specific text is communicated, i.e., say, a Kindle or any other e-reader, doesn't or shouldn't negatively impact the reader's ability to engage with diverse forms of language. Therefore, it's perfectly likely that a person could become just as literate, that is, just as familiar with different forms of literature and just as expert in reading and writing through electronic reading as through reading physical books. Great, let's go over to 8, remembering that unstated premises are evaluated in exactly the same way. And I'm not going to look at the evidence because, again, I only have acceptability right now under my belt. So I'm not going to look at the evidence. I'm just going to look at the claim. Currently, books are not made well. I'm going to say that's acceptable. The books I have purchased in the last decade seem to fall apart fairly quickly. And that's reason to believe that currently books are not made well. 12. If we do most of our reading on screen, we may start improving the quality of physical books. Let me think about that. They're saying if we do most of our reading on screen, we'll start improving the quality of physical books. I don't see why that would be the case. Unacceptable. Why would a culture put energy and resources into improving a medium for reading if a different medium had become more popular and more widely used? That doesn't seem to make sense. So I really don't see why the more we read on screen, the more we're going to care about books. That doesn't seem to follow to me. Let's go up to 2. The move toward digital reading need not result in less literacy. And I think I probably emphasized when I was doing the diagram for this one that 2 and 6 are quite similar. Their content really overlaps. So I'm going to say that 2 is acceptable. And I'm going to just cut and paste from 6 because it's really the same exact reasoning. Same exact reason that I accepted 6, I'm going to accept 2. Let's go to 4. Book lovers value literacy. Acceptable. To be a book lover is to be someone who not only reads a lot, but who values reading itself. Reading requires literacy, so book lovers, almost by definition, value literacy. Let's go on to 3. The move toward digital reading may improve the quality of physical books as design objects. Again, I don't see why, and I think that it's very similar to 12. This is just making a more general claim than 12 did. So it's not only just improve the quality of books, but improve them as design objects. I don't understand why, if we are reading more on screen, why we would suddenly want to make finer books. We might want to make finer ebooks. We might want to make finer e-readers. But I don't see why we'd want to make finer books. Again, someone may disagree with me on this point. Different people may have different reasons for coming to evaluations of premises and acceptability. So this is not necessarily a right answer, but in my mind, that doesn't seem to make much sense. And let's go to 5. Book lovers value the quality of physical books. And I would say that's acceptable. Book lovers often enjoy not only the process of reading, but the physical experience of holding a beautifully made book. This is one reason why rare books are so expensive. Okay, I probably could develop that a little bit more. But that's a sufficient answer to that question. Now I've done every single premise, looked at them independently, determined whether I accept them using my background knowledge and my own specific location. So that's a good example of step 5.